Hello and welcome back to the Student Hub Live. Well, I have the library here. This is good because we love our library sessions. And Nicola and Amanda are going to tell us exactly how the library can help you. And we have a widget that's on the screen, which is, have you ever used an ebook? And you can answer yes or no. So let us know if you've ever used an ebook. So welcome to the session. Now, you are both learning and teaching librarians and you're based at the Open University in Milton Keynes. And we also have a map widget as well. So we'd like to know where you are in the country also. So that would be very useful. We're right here in Milton Keynes and our library is here, which a lot of students love to see. So can you tell us then, what's so special about the library being located here and how can students access it, especially if they're far away?
Well, here in Milton Keynes, we do have a physical library on campus and staff and any students who are based on campus, research students, can use it. But obviously, that's an awful long way away from a lot of our students. And through Facebook and Twitter, we asked students where they are around the world. We've had some interesting responses so that we could work out how long it might take them to get here, because it's not convenient for everybody to just drop everything and come to Milton Keynes.
No, whilst being central, it's not that central if you're far on the outskirts of Scotland, is it?
Absolutely, and even further. So anyone who's in the area is welcome to use the library, but obviously it's not convenient for everyone. So a couple of examples. I found one lady who lives in Switzerland. She lives in Zurich, and I had a quick look and worked out that if she flew here, it might take her 5 to 6 hours, you know, with trains and taxis and things to get to the library. So that's not very useful for her. And I think Nicola found another one.
Yeah, I had to look at, Priscilla answered and said she lived in Sweden, which looked beautiful. Luckily, she's quite near Gothenburg Airport. So if she were to hop on a plane, it would be about 8 hours door to door.
Now, was this their idea to come to the library or your idea to get there?
We just wanted to see how long it would take because we know that it's really not convenient, which is why we have the online library.
Okay,
which
good.
It's absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
So the online library is essentially all of the things that you would expect to find in a normal physical library, but it's all online.
Okay.
So you can access it wherever you are, so maybe from bed. I know quite a few students do access the library from bed.
They do.
So from a cafe with Wi-Fi, you know, pretty much anywhere. And it's got all the kind of things you'd expect. So books, journal articles, newspapers, databases, all those kind of things. They're all available there. And all you need is your OU username and your password. And that gets you into everything.
OK. Now, I know we're going to have a look at the website, which has just gone blank right now. So let's get that back up online and talk a little bit about what students can actually access from this. I know that students like the library in terms of what it can deliver, but the one thing that they really, really like is a librarian, somebody who can help them and give them advice and tips and a guidance. And I guess that's the main difference. You can access a lot of this, but it's that support that people are craving, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, that is really helpful knowing that there's somebody there, and luckily there is someone there. So we were actually going to show the help and support pages,
brilliant,
which
perfect.
we could do now.
Okay, so we can see these on the screen, and you can point to the monitor here to show people what this is. So this is something that you can access from your student homepage. You just click on Library, which is down the left-hand side, and then you can get into the library section where you can access all of this lovely help and support.
Yeah, so here we go. So there's all sorts, we'll just scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of articles on here. So there's lots of self-help stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you've got to find some information for an assignment, something like that, you can have a look on there and find lots of help that way. Mm-hmm. But there's also a few, scroll right the way down. We have got, and this is on every single page of the library website, there's the help desk.
OK, great. So contacting the help desk. So, I mean, to be fair, your website is exhaustive. There is so much information that people can find. But we've heard that students can sometimes be in a panic. They can be submitting their TMAs and they need help right now. So this is where they go then in terms of finding help and engaging with the library staff.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you can contact, the nice thing about the help desk is you can ring us in the day, but if you're stuck at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can actually get on our web chat, which is available 24/7. We're part of a cooperative of librarians, so that when we're shut, other librarians help staff the service. So if you're stuck and you need help with something in the middle of the night, you can actually get on the web chat and talk to a librarian.
I love that, a cooperative of librarians. That should be in our quiz.
Something you Collective term.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Now, ebooks are something that's great. We can find articles. We've spoken a little bit about, using Google Scholar and various ways of accessing, resources online through the library. But ebooks was something that you wanted to touch on in particular. And I've actually recently just discovered how many you've got and how I don't need to buy so many books anymore, which is brilliant.
Yes, there's hundreds of thousands of them. I don't know how. Do we know how our widget was going?
Let's see what our ebook widget says. Okay, so we've got 39% saying that yes, they have used. These are to be fair, they're very, very good students. They're very conscientious. So yes, a lot of them have used ebooks, whereas 8% have said no, they haven't used an ebook.
Well, I think you'll find that quite a lot of people have probably used an ebook for leisure. So they might have downloaded something to read on their e-readers. But by the end of your studies here, you probably will have had an opportunity to access at least one ebook as you go through.
We've got some.
Okay,
we have.
Yes. So we just wanted to demonstrate some of the brilliant things about ebooks. So as an example, we brought in a real book.
Okay.
And this is the very short introduction to globalisation. Really useful one. These are great because they're really short intros to loads of different things.
Yeah.
So the good thing about the ebook is that it's got all the same content, but you can search it.
Okay.
Lots of people can access it at the same time,
Yeah.
usually, which is brilliant. So if Amanda had checked this one out in the library, I wouldn't be able to read it, but because it's online,
Yeah.
lots of people can get into them.
Yeah.
And this one here, this is brilliant. This is the Oxford Dictionary of National Biography.
Yeah.
This is one volume.
Yeah.
There are 60 of these.
Yeah.
It is heavy, and you can't take it out of the library because obviously you're not going to carry 60 of these home. But again, we've got this online, so really easy to access. You can search it. You can find what you need really conveniently.
I mean, things like this, you can clearly see the benefit of searching, but within book chapters, I mean, this is quite a new idea, I think, for people, is to read things online and search for content, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, true. And that's something that we can actually show
Okay,
quite
brilliant.
quickly on here.
So one of these books that Nicola's just talked about is one of the very short introductions, and we've got, you can search for this very easily by putting the name just into library search.
Yeah.
And click on here.
Yeah.
And then I'll just show you what it looks like once it's open.
Okay.
So that's gone up to have a look. But you can get into it. This is what it looks like. And if you scroll down, you can actually see the different chapters.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Okay. Excellent. So that makes it a lot easier to be able to get a chapter, because often you would only probably really need to read one chapter from a book, and so you can go and access that. You can search through it, highlight the bits you need. Can you annotate any of these things? Can you save them as PDFs and use them that way?
You can with some, but not with others.
Okay.
The one difficulty with ebooks is that we get them from lots of different places.
Yeah.
So like when you buy a book, it's a different publisher, each
Yeah.
one. So it's the same thing with ebooks. And some of them are quite open and let us do lots of things with them. And others are a lot less open. They can be quite restrictive.
Yeah.
But so you might not always be able to download it and keep a copy and annotate it,
Okay.
but you will quite often be able to do something with it. So
Okay.
it's just a case of have a look. When you've got to the ebook, have a little look at the platform and see what you're allowed to do.
Okay, but the main thing is it's free because you pay for all the subscriptions to so much stuff out there. So you may not need to buy some of these books. And they're really good for things like research methods and, just general content, reading around subject areas. They can be a nice way of looking at things in a different way to maybe research papers.
Absolutely, yeah, they're nice, easy introduction quite a lot of the time.
Okay, brilliant, excellent. Hey, Shane, Sophie, what's happening on the hot desk?
Lots. Lots of biscuit talk again. We can't seem to get away from food. But we have had a really nice email in from Felician. She's actually sent a picture of her breakfast, which looks lovely. Or healthy, some chicken and things. Once we've got that printed off, we'll be able to show that. But she has also wanted to thank us for all the great things that we do, and she's very happy to have joined us today, which is very nice. So thank you, Felician. You've also had a question, haven't you?
Yes,
Jay?
I think Fiona's from the library is in the chat helping us with some questions as well, but maybe good to put to you guys as well, so everyone knows, because the chat can go quite quickly and we can miss things. But just one point. Davin says the problem with ebooks is that you don't get the new book smell, but I've seen candles and things like and air fresheners where you can get the book smell, the bookshop smell as well. So we'll have to find one of those for Davin. But Kerry says she wasn't too sure how the ebook loaning works. So who takes the book back when you finish reading it? And Dee also asks, can you download in different formats too to compress or save memory?
Good questions there. And if you had got ebooks, we wouldn't have lost old.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, right. So ebooks, different formats. Is that possible, or does it depend on the publisher then?
It's one of those depends on the publisher thing
Yeah.
again. So it's just a case of go in and have a look and see what it'll let you do.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is that they make it so that you can't do anything you're not allowed to.
Okay.
So you don't need to panic that you're going to, do anything wrong. If it lets you download it in a certain format, go
Okay.
for it.
Now, just generally, because we're talking about ebooks, and I know everyone's going to get very excited and try and go look for ebooks and look for things. To what extent should it supplement your teaching and learning? When should you be going to look for some of these things?
I think that would probably be around about kind of TMA time, so building up to TMAs.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to have a look at your TMA guidance, your module guidance, see what your tutors are advising. Because quite often, especially kind of level 1, everything you need is in the module materials.
Yeah.
So although it's really helpful to be going looking at other stuff, you don't need to, and no one wants to make more work than they have to.
Yeah.
So have a look at the module materials, and if you are advised to kind of go outside, find some other stuff,
Yeah.
then there's most likely also going to be some guidance on how you can do it.
Yeah.
So have a look at that, and if not, then come talk to us on the help desk, and we'll
Okay.
help you find stuff.
One place in which they might find it very useful is using dictionaries and encyclopedias.
Yeah.
So they can be really helpful if you get stuck in your module materials and you're just learning about a subject and you want to know a little bit more,
Yeah.
because we have lots of those available online too.
So when might you use an ebook as opposed to a search if you're looking for like glossary terms or dictionaries or things like that? When might it be better? Is there a distinction like that, or is it just in terms of the content being formatted in a different way?
Well, you can actually search library search. You could put a term in,
Yeah.
and quite often you'll get something called a reference entry result,
Yeah.
which will take you to one of those dictionaries and encyclopedias we
Yeah.
talked about. But you'll often find that a better thing to do, if you're doing a particular subject, there's likely to be a subject dictionary or encyclopedia. And you know that that's going to be really relevant, because quite often terms are used kind of differently across different subjects.
Yes, they are, yeah.
So, so if you search for it, you'll probably find something, but you might not necessarily know that you found exactly the right thing.
Right.
So if you have a little look, we can show on the library resources page how you find the stuff that's relevant to your subject.
Okay, let's do that then, because we've only got a few minutes left and there's a lot to get through. But this is a great service here, I think, and you can see all of the tabs that are fairly self-explanatory that students can click and access.
So this is the library resources page, and down the right-hand side it shows a list of the sorts of things we have. And for example, we have some dictionaries, thesauri and encyclopedias. And if you click onto that page and scroll down a bit, you can see all sorts of things here that can be really useful. I'm not going to go through everything now,
Yeah.
but there's a list of places that you can get started.
Okay, brilliant, excellent. So people can go and have a look there. Now, you also run training sessions. You've talked about the help and support that people get, but you have a training session which is an introduction on the 29th at 8 o'clock at night that people can go to. So tell us what happens in some of these training sessions then?
Well, it's all done through OULI, the online rooms, and a librarian is there. And we'll go through some really useful stuff about the library. This one's just going to get you started from the beginning. Other students will be there, log in, and you can chat to your other students and to the librarian who's there, and you can ask questions. And they'll go through some useful information to get you started with the library, and you can stop and ask questions along the way. There are also recordings of these sessions if you can't make them, and you can find those on the library website too.
Brilliant, excellent. That's fantastic. I bet a lot of students are going to really enjoy going to that. And for those of you who haven't been on OU Live, in one of our bootcamp sessions, we showed you how to access that OU Live room. It's a great idea to do that and to get your launcher set up so that you can then access any of the OU Live rooms when your tutor groups are set up for you. Excellent. Is there anything else in terms of help and support that you'd like to mention before we give students a tour of the actual real library in Milton Keynes, which is our video we've got lined up?
I think my number one thing with help and support would be just ask if you're not sure.
Yeah.
So have a look on those help and support pages. Read around those pages, see what you can find, because you might be surprised by the stuff that we've got and that kind of thing. But just come and ask us. please come and ask us. We like being talked to.
Brilliant, excellent. No, thank you so much both for coming in. It's really, really useful. And I think the one thing that students find so reassuring is that the library is stocked with real librarians, lots of them throughout the world, all acting together to help and support students. And they can come to you and talk about a variety of things in terms of things to search for, as well as referencing. And your online training sessions, I know, are very varied as well. You do different things on referencing and you know, managing digital material and all sorts of themes that students would find interesting. So check those out and you can see those on the library website. But Amanda and Nicola, thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you for having us.
Right, we're going to give you a quick tour of the real library in Milton Keynes, so have a look at that. And then we're going to be coming back for some news items. So we're going to see a range of things that the Open University are doing in our next session. So we'll see you very soon.
Hello, Karen.
Our students want to see what goes on in the library. Can you show us around?
Yes, please, welcome to the library.
Thank you.
So here we have the ground floor, and on the ground floor we have the module materials.
Right.
So people can come in and they can have a look at what module materials the OU offers.
Brilliant.
And then upstairs we have some meeting rooms. We also have some books and journals as well. But for the majority of students, they're never going to visit the library here in Milton Keynes, which is why we have this fantastic online library. And I'd like to show you a bit behind the scenes of the online library.
Fantastic.
So if you'd like to follow me upstairs.
Yep, brilliant. Gosh, there's an awful lot that goes on in here, isn't there, Helen?
There is, and we only have a short time to show you what we do. So we'd like to talk about three things. We'd like to talk about the help desk, how we support students and staff via the help desk, how we write activities that go into modules, and also how we liaise with academic colleagues who actually write the modules as well.
Excellent.
So yeah, so let's go talk to Catherine.
Perfect. Hi, Catherine.
Hello.
So, can you tell us, what are you doing right now?
Okay, at the moment I'm working on the help desk. A student has just emailed us saying she wants to access a particular journal article, but unfortunately we don't have it in our online library, so I'm just emailing her, telling her the alternative methods she can use to access it.
Fantastic. So apart from email, how can students then contact the library?
Okay, we're also available through the telephone and web chat, and web chat is 24/7.
24/7, excellent.
Yep.
So they can email you questions about finding articles, what else?
Finding articles, accessing other libraries, finding information in general. If they have a study topic and they're not quite sure where to look, we can help them with that. We can also help them with referencing. Pretty much anything you would ask a librarian, we will help with.
Oh, fantastic. That's such a wonderful support. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for telling our students about that. Helen, I know you wanted to talk about academic liaison. Can we do that now?
Okay.
Hi, Fiona.
Hello.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about academic liaison. What's that all about then?
Well, I'm actually involved in supporting module teams when they're writing modules to integrate library resources and also, of course, very importantly, digital and information literacy skills.
Brilliant. And why is that important then for students?
Well, the resources are important because it helps to enrich the module material, and the skills are really important in today's world because although it's also important to have digital skills in academia, it's particularly important when you're out in the world of employment these days.
So your role really in this sort of sense is it really about embedding some of those activities and skills within the module so that students have that seamless experience and are developing those skills along the way?
That's right, yes, and it's very much my work to raise the visibility of the resources and the skills that the teams can actually integrate into the modules.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Fiona. That's brilliant.
That's fine.
So we also then can look at this idea of authoring and then I guess how these ideas are taken from the academic liaison and written by the library as part of that team. Shall we go and find out more?
Yeah.
Nicola,
Hello.
I wanted to talk to you a bit about authoring. So what does that involve?
Yeah, so students might not realise that we actually write some of the activities that sit in their module materials. So what happens is we go along to module team meetings, which is where we meet all the academics that are writing the course. And then we talk a little bit about what library skills would be really useful to the students like at this point in their studies. And then we go away, We write some activities that will really help with that. And then they appear in the module materials. So at the moment I'm actually working on an activity for a level 1 engineering module, and it's all about how to find newspaper articles using some of the really useful newspaper databases that we've got access to.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you for filling us in on that. That sounds really, really interesting.